Good evening. My name is Nathan Keith, and I would like to introduce you to my new podcast, Disabled Vet Chronicles. Throughout the conversations that we'll have, we'll go over transitioning from the military to life after the military, to retirement, to anything that you could think of that could go right or wrong through the whole process, from dealing with the VA veterans, your veterans benefits, to dealing with your retirement pay, to dealing with new jobs, new bosses, a different mission in life. This is not just going to be a podcast solely for Navy, solely for Army, Marines, Air Force, but this is a whole encompassing podcast where we're going to discuss how to transition and how to navigate through a change in life. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been retired since 2024. I spent 20 years in the United States Navy, and throughout that time in my Navy career, I've been stationed all over the world. Been saw a lot of different things, been introduced to a lot of things that normally a normal person in life wouldn't be introduced to. However, that didn't prepare me, and it doesn't prepare a lot of people for what happens after you retire from the military. Essentially, you go from working every day, working hard every day, to this 3-day tap class or transition class that gives you a piece of the information that you may need to get through normal activities in your normal civilian life. We don't have the military or the government to support us in the way that we thought we would have post military. They never tell you how hard it is to get jobs. They never tell you the what you can and can't do after you retire or after you separate from the military. So this podcast is going to be one of those that is going to try to give you as much information as possible to ensure that we are transitioning this life together. We will also hit topics like mental health. We will also hit the topics of physical health, going to the VA, going to your doctor, getting your normal checkups, things that we neglected throughout our time in the military, either intentionally or unintentionally, is we're going to try to ensure that individuals are prepared for what may come after they retire, separate honorably, separate other honorably. There's many different ways that an individual will separate from the military. Not everybody separates honorably. Not everybody separates with a uh, honorable discharge. Sometimes life happens, they separate with a general discharge. But these individuals still need to understand and know what their benefits are, what their rights are. Um, and that's the goal of mine in this podcast, to help individuals that are transitioning, that have already transitioned, to point them in the right direction, to try to get them the resources and the help that they need. And one thing about me is I'm very passionate about service, military service members, and ensuring that nobody's left behind. We've had too many individuals throughout our lives that have done terrible things to themselves and others because they didn't know where to get the help from, or didn't know how to get the help, or didn't know if they even needed help. A lot of the times we go through our military service and don't even understand that there's help available for us to get through any type of emotional or anything ordeal that we go through. So, this is the intent of trying to help. So, episodes will come out fairly frequently. If anything comes up that is a hot topic, I definitely will bring up. This will not just be a serious podcast, though. There will be episodes where it may just be me venting because I'm dealing with things that I have, that normal people deal with. But there also may be times where I will be asking you for questions you may need the answer to. So, I'm going to try to help you out and ensure that you get what you need. But please click and like this podcast and share it. Share it to all veterans, share it to all military personnel, to ensure that they are understanding that there are resources out here. There are people that have insight on what is going to happen in the next stage of their life. I'm not perfect, but I hope I can get people on here that are way more knowledgeable than me, and we'll go from both. Thank you for joining the first episode of Disabled Vet Chronicles, and I will see you soon.